this is Heavy Thrash on That's My Purpose channel at YouTube. And it is episode 8 of the reviews. And the album that I am taking the time to review is the debut album from Norwegian heavy metal hard rock band Flight. And man, holy shit. This sound kicked my ass. I have to say, this sound kicked my ass. This is a great album. Definitely one of the best of this year, and I can't... Let me get this out of the way, that the production and everything, it sounds like it was recorded in like the late 70s, early 80s. This is one of those albums, and it's done great. It's an album that pretty much sounds like that era. Everything from it is just great from start to finish. They've really put together I would have to say, I hate to say it, a phenomenal album. First time I put this on, second time, same experience, but maybe a tad bit better. This is just a great album. The riffs and everything are just... They're shit. First track is pretty much the song Flight, and this was the song that actually made me want to actually go out and get me a copy of this album. It was definitely one of the best songs of this album. It's definitely kind of that, that new wave or British heavy metal sort of sound to it. And then there's also that little bit of a anyways, there's like almost a middle section within this track that's kind of like, because of, it goes into almost a very melodic part, like almost like acoustic sort of guitar part, almost kind of reminding me a little bit of, I guess the only track that comes to mind is Sabbath by Black Sabbath a bit. But giving it almost that 70s sound to it, but it's done in such a great way. Definitely kind of, it doesn't sound forced or anything. It sounds very natural for the track. It gives it another whole atmosphere, a whole new level that ends up, and the minute after it goes back to definitely just a heavy track. It is definitely just great track. Next song is As Silence Falls, and it's just another good heavy rocker of a track. Just definitely good, but definitely one of another biggest highlights of this album is Lion's Den, which starts off as very acoustic, very with acoustic guitar, kind of before giving way to one of the best songs off this album. They definitely were listening to quite a bit of these type of bands, especially in the very early Judas Priest albums, like either Rock-a-Rolla, Sad Wings of Destiny, and Sin After Sin are pretty much the albums that comes to mind when I'm listening to some of this album. It's definitely back to those really early albums by that band. And then I don't know, there really isn't a bad song on this album, and there's definitely ones that I really like that stick to my mind, especially Don't Lose It, Night Rider, which is an instrumental. It's one of the heaviest tracks. They definitely were listening to the first two Iron Maiden albums on this one, because it's very much got that Genghis Khan, yes, that's how you actually supposed to pronounce the name. It's not Genghis Khan, it's Genghis Khan, and it's kind of back to that track, and that was an instrumental as well, and it's very similar almost in some ways. But No, that's another really good track on this one is Night Rider, and then you got Escape and Memory Sharp, and then the last track, Devil Woman. Not to be confused with the Cliff Richard song. But I can't even say any fault at all. Maybe there's a little, maybe a tad bit, I don't know. That's probably just nitpicking because of this is a great album that is just from start to finish. Even at times, I definitely even kind of, within the vocal department, it's I guess weird, but it's kind of not really because of it's no the guy's vocalist is no different from guys from like Brian Ross though, except the very falsetto screams whatever, but his vocals are similar to Brian Ross. It's, even the vocal to Heavy Load, and even the vocalist for the band Deep Throat. And some of the sound kind of reminds me of that album, but not in the lyrical department. It's pretty much like that album, just without the sexual lyrics. Hell, it even sounds like the long lost Deep Throat album, but if they decided to pretty much drop all the sexual lyrics, it's kind of like that for some reason. Definitely a good album. I really will recommend this to anyone who's a fan of new wave of British heavy metal bands, a fan of even maybe Heavy Load, or fans of the really early Judas Priest stuff. Hell, to just any fan of early heavy metal and hard rock. This is definitely an album that I definitely recommend. I can't praise this album enough. It's a fucking great album. Anyways, that pretty much does it for this review, because I have almost nothing else to say about it. It's just riff after riff after riff after riff in each song. Just a great album, really. I'm gonna stop because I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. Anyway, this is Heavy Thrash saying I am out.